Hey you guys, so today is your asynchronous day. That means that you guys are only checking into your class to get attendance and then you guys are going off to do the assignment all by yourself. So let's get started. So at this time, if you would, please pause the video so you can do the do now by yourself. All right, let's go over it. So in this food chain, how much energy is lost as heat? So we know, according to the 10% rule, 10% is transferred to each level. However, we all know that 90% is lost as heat. In this food chain, how much energy is transferred up the trophic levels? So we know that 10% is transferred up the trophic levels. So each one of these arrows is about 10% of energy that is being transferred up the trophic levels. Which organism would be on the first trophic level? So we know that the first trophic level is our producers. So the leaf would be on our first trophic level. Which organism has the least amount of energy in the food chain? So we know that the leaf has the most energy because it's on the first trophic level. However, if we keep going up, so we see the caterpillar, the chameleon, the snake, and the mongoose. Caterpillar, chameleon, snake, and mongoose. We know that the mongoose will be at the top. And that is where you have the least amount of energy. So the mongoose has the least energy. Sorry, it's hard writing on a screen. And if the caterpillar has 5,536 kilocalories of energy, how much does the chameleon have? So we have our caterpillar here, and we have our chameleon here. We see that our caterpillar has 5,536 kilocalories. So what we are going to do is move that decimal place over just one. So that means that our chameleon is going to have 553,000, not 53, 6 kilocalories. Let me make this decimal point a little bit like that. So the chameleon, is going to have 553.6 kilocalories of energy. So quote of the day, the law of conservation of energy tells us we can get something for nothing, but we refuse to believe it. Isaac Asimov. Norms are do unto others as you'll have done unto you. Come prepared and ready to learn. Leave negativity at the threshold. High tech, high engagement, y'all. So we are going to go over an independent practice, incomplete sentences, explain how the first and second law of thermodynamics supports the flow of energy in an ecosystem. So it says in an ecosystem, energy captured by producers from the sun cannot be created or destroyed. So that is our first law. We know that 10% of that energy in the ecosystem is going up the trophic pyramid, but we also know that 90% is lost as heat. So all 100% is accounted for. However, we know that the energy that the producer has is going to be more than the energy that the primary, secondary, tertiary has, because as energy is traveling up the trophic pyramid, it is getting less and less and less. So energy is lost as heat, and as it travels up the trophic pyramid, it is getting less and less and less. All right, so which level has the most amount of energy? You should have got D. This has the most energy. That says most. Sorry, that says mass. But this has the most amount of energy. Which level has 1% of the original available energy? Well, we know that D has 100% of the original energy. And we know that C has 10% of that original energy. And B has 1% of that original energy. So you should have got B for that answer. Explain why A has less energy than level B. And that's because as energy moves up the trophic level, only 10% goes to the next trophic level. So if B has a certain amount of energy, A is only going to get 10% of that. Number 4, which level is most likely to use sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water to create glucose and a byproduct of oxygen? Of course, that is going to be D, because that is your producers. They do photosynthesis, and that is what number 4 is explaining. And then number 5, if level A has 1.5 kilocalories of energy, how much does level C have? So if A has 1.5 kilocalories, we know that if you go up the trophic level, you are getting less energy. But if we are looking for the levels below it, we know that those levels are going to have more energy. So instead of moving the decimal place to the left, we are going to move the decimal place to the right. And so B is going to have 15 kilocalories of energy. And then we're going to move that decimal place again to the right. And if you don't know, if you move it to the right, you're going to add a 0 there. So C will have 150 kilocalories of energy. And D, moving it to the right again, is going to have 1,500 kilocalories of energy. So you have to move the decimal place to the right if you are going down the trophic pyramid. If you are going up, you move it to the left, because if you move these all to the left, you should get A as 1.5 again. All right, so number 1, which organism has the most energy? That would be your grass, because your grass is a producer. Again, I want to put mass, but they have the most. Which organism has the least? This will be the hawk, because it is at the top of the trophic level in all of these food chains. Who is the apex predator? The hawk is also the apex predator. And if the grass has 1 million kilojoules of energy, how much does the mouse have? So if the grass has 1 million, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, you guys, you can't see those zeros. If the grass has 1 million, we are going to move that decimal place over to the left in order to find the mouse's energy. So the mouse is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100,000 kilojoules of energy, because the grass can only transfer 10% of its energy to the mouse. How much does the hawk have if it eats the snake? So we see that, how much does the snake have if it eats the mouse? I'm sorry. So if the mouse is getting eaten by the snake, only 10% of that energy is transferred. So we want to move that decimal place to the left again. So the snake is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 10,000 kilojoules of energy. And then it says, how much does the hawk have if it eats the snake? So the snake has 10,000. If it's going to the hawk, we're going to move that decimal point over to the right just one more time. And that means that the hawk is going to have 1,000 kilojoules of energy. Now, number 5 says, assuming the grass still has 1 million kilojoules of energy, how much energy would the hawk have if it eats the rabbit? So now we have another food chain over here. So if the rabbit eats the grass, it's going to get 100,000 kilojoules of energy. And since the hawk isn't eating anything in between there, then that means that the hawk is going to get 10% of the rabbit's current energy. So the hawk is going to have 10,000 kilojoules of energy if it eats the rabbit. So it gets more energy if it eats the rabbit than if it eats the snake. All right, that's the end of this video. Go and please complete your async lesson. So this async lesson is due by 5 p.m. for my A-Day on the 24th, and it is due by 5 p.m. on the 25th for my B-Day. This assignment is going to close at those times, so you will not be able to turn it in after those times. So use the rest of this time wisely, and I hope you guys have a great Wednesday. I will see you either on Thursday and Friday. Bye, y'all.